it's a new day. Not really. Anyway, we were just having a really interesting conversation that gave me, like, seriously, guys, instant headache on the right-hand side. I mean, it was like boom. So
the male side.
Yeah, the male side. I mean, literally, and I never get headaches, but it just started like that. So I don't know. Maybe we're talking about this, and maybe we're not. But it's kind of about the either balance or imbalance, whatever you're experiencing and see in terms of the feminine and the masculine. And there is a divine feminine energy and a divine masculine energy, and also an energy of distortion in both sexes. So we were kind of talking about that in between.
So, but I think it's important to understand that we as an individual, we do have male and female energies.
Absolutely.
And I don't think everyone knows it. I think everyone sometimes thinks that, well, because I'm in a female body, then I have feminine energy. But the feminine energy and the masculine energy are two things, two separate things.
The yin
and yang.
And they're meant to play together.
Yeah, and so the feminine, of course, is that more nurturing, tender, and then the masculine is emotional, and then the masculine is more like action, action oriented,
systems.
Structure, systems, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's a matter of us to like really have a nice balance of all of that.
Right. So the idea that if you think about, you know, a vagina, right, is the receiver. So I receive sort of that driver energy of the masculine, right? And so when it's in balance, I'm creating a safe space to receive a powerful, intact, balanced masculine energy.
Right.
And, you know, we could go bigger topic, but the idea that before we came into this third dimension of polarity, so say in a realm of the sixth dimension, we would be a complete embodiment of the feminine and the masculine. And it goes back to our last talk. You would know which part of your personality to call on for which situation.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, because some situations will require a little bit more tenderness and softness, and others a little bit more aggression,
or
being
action.
forward, action, courageous.
Right.
Yep.
And there are those that would say in this realm that we're living, we are searching for, you know, what a man, because on some level I'm missing the remembrance of that other half of me that I was fully embodied in both at the time. So it's the idea that we come down here and it's like, where's my other half? Which isn't really true, because, you know, a whole person will be involved in a whole relationship, a balanced and whole relationship.
And that's another
right.
topic.
Okay, so we're
because it's not just men and women. It's, you know, it can be women looking for a woman or a man looking for a man.
Yeah,
too.
but it's that energy.
It's the energy.
The energy of there's something missing.
Yeah.
Or there's something
Yeah.
I need. Anyway, so I don't know how this is
there's
related.
There's big ideals there that you're talking about.
I know, and I want to talk about androgyny as related to the idea that when we do
have balance
and experience ourselves in these less density, right? That we could present ourselves as male or female, because
in Over Soul 7, the teacher, the energy that's at level 8 that is teaching the energy that's at level 7, or she's maybe 11 or whatever, she sometimes she's a man, sometimes she's a woman, and she kind of morphs, and sometimes she's a combination of both that he can't even put into words.
I don't know what Over Soul 7 is.
Oh, it's that book that I was telling you guys about that Jane Roberts wrote from the Seth.
Oh, okay.
She channeled Seth, but then she wrote these stories.
Okay, I see.
And he is being taught, he's a soul that has fractals of himself, 4 fractals of himself living out experiences in different times and places.
Which goes back to
on
the
Earth.
Record. That's
Yes.
exactly the
Yes,
record.
yes, that's why I think you guys would like that book. Anyway, but he's being taught by a soul that's higher than him, and sometimes when he's with her, she's woman, sometimes she's man, and sometimes she's both, and she presents as both, and he said it's just so beautiful he can't even describe what that is, the
I-
energy of
yeah.
them intermingling together. And then she, in her form, which is more light,
Okay.
you can see it in the form. It's really fascinating.
And that's the way, from what
Yeah.
I've come to understand, and I don't know, it could be true, not true, but what I've come to understand, and it resonates with me, is before I, came to put my focused attention on myself as Julie in this third density, dimension, whatever, fourth density, I was androgynous, and sometimes I could play more in the masculine energy, and sometimes I could play more in the feminine energy. And what does this situation call for, and what would I like to play in today? To
Right.
go back to,
And I think the thing that's important is not to sexualize the male and feminine energy. Like it's not about that.
It's not about sex.
Yeah,
No,
it's about being the receiver and being the giver or the offer, being the tenderness, being the action oriented, being soft, being firm,
And being able to accept that, for a man to be able to accept his tenderness, his softness, and not constantly be in the masculine. And same with women, is for us to, sometimes we have to stand up and be strong, and sometimes we have to, make decisions and put things together in a way that, sometimes maybe as women we don't want to do.
Right.
But it's okay to play in both.
So what I love about this, though, what I'm thinking now into is that as you take on the balance of that, you become whole, you become
Yeah.
one.
Right.
And literally that's what we're moving out of, is that duality,
right?
love or fear, and we're just moving into that oneness
Mhm.
where all is one, and ultimately, of course, love wins.
So I think there is a representation, or this is being illustrated in society right now in a way that hasn't quite settled into something that feels balanced. So you're seeing people, really play with their identity, or perhaps struggle
Yeah.
with their sexuality. And I think it is demonstrative of the idea that we are returning to that. And so because there's not a lot of discussions about this, like what we're talking about right now, if you are born and you're present as a girl, you have female body parts, but perhaps you have a remembrance of other lifetimes, other times on this record when you were playing in the experience of being a boy, and the veil is thinning, so the separation between, whatever, lifetimes or realities or whatever, that's another topic. But a child might be like, I feel more like a boy. And so it's like, maybe perhaps they're remembering their last experience of play when they were a boy.
But why? Okay, but my question is why? Why does a boy have to represent something different?
Because that's just where we are in this field
Yeah.
of duality.
And that's where my kind of frustration comes in, is like, so like me being a young girl, being active and wanting to be outside and wanting to play sports, okay? So my mom said, no, like, you're a girl, you can't do that. But that didn't mean that I was wanting to be a boy. It just meant that I was like, I had a little bit more fire then. I had a little bit more action then. I had, I just had this, energy in me that
Or maybe
was
you
not
weren't
soft.
balanced.
Yeah, and maybe
That's-
I was
that's
just balanced.
Right. Maybe you were just balanced. Maybe.
And, yeah,
You
I
know?
don't think, I'm not speaking to that, because
Okay.
I'm not speaking to that at all. I'm
Okay.
speaking to, there is an uptick in humans being born that are expressing gender identity, dissonance. And there's more and more of that, whether that's because we are elevating as a consciousness and we're more in touch with our masculine and our feminine.
Right.
Is it because the veil is thinning and I have remembrances of past lifetimes? And so when I come in and this world says I have to pick, I have to choose, I'm like, whoa, hold on. I don't know if I have to pick or choose, because I'm remembering that, So there's pushback.
There's so much remembering for us, and it happens throughout life.
Right.
It's not just as a child. I mean, we continually remember and remember. We remember each other as we meet each other. We activate one another when we meet each other at 10. We meet more people at 20, and there's like this remembrance, and more of us turns on. It's kind of like the DNA that we've talked about, how some DNA gets turned on and some of it goes dormant, right? So I think that situations are activating certain things within us. We, each other, activate certain things within us. Just us three coming together, we've activated something within each one of us to, be more in action, say, or to be softer, like whatever it is, but we've activated one another and just being in each other's presence, just as much as, family has done that. But I guess what I want to say to, everyone feeling into something different outside of what they are birthed to, there is a remembrance that is going to continue to happen. It's not just through childhood. It's also throughout adulthood.
Well, what is just being offered to me right now is the idea of transitioning as like I'm going to transition from female to male. We're seeing a lot of that, right? People are wanting to transition.
Mm-hmm.
What is being offered to me right now is we are transitioning as a species. We are transitioning. So, a lot of people bring judgment to this. There's a lot of energy around this concept.
Oh gosh,
so much
energy.
So because it's different, right? It's different, but it is this transitioning period. Transitioning periods are messy. I think of myself moving from one house to another. I'm transitioning. It's very stressful. Things break. I lose things. I'm going to miss my old house. People are like, why are you moving? And then I get to my new house that I thought I was going to love. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like this from the old house better. Transitions are hard. They're messy. And so I think as a species, we're transitioning.
Yep.
And so there are more and more people saying, hold on. I don't know if I'm simply an expression of female. I don't know if I'm an expression. Maybe I want to play in both. And then you have, people from different generations that are like, what the hell are you talking about? Just look down and you know who you are. And I mean, there's resistance. We all resist things that are different. And so I just think it is a transition as a species to a time when we were able to play in both.
And that's part of the remembering. That's part of the
being
remembering.
both.
Well, and it's just being balanced.
Yeah.
We are told that when we're born, based on what you're born with, that is what you are. So you have
What
to
colors you wear.
Right, pink. If you're a girl, you wear pink. If you're a boy, you wear blue. If you're a girl, you play with dolls. If you're a boy, you play with trucks. And that's so homogenous. I mean, it's just so presumptive.
Right.
And if it's okay to be a little bit of both. And I've found in my life that I am being called to be more of both, to be softer, to be, Julie and I talk a lot about being single for a really long time. When you're single for a really long time, you become the man. I mean, if we're going to call it that, or you moved more into the masculine energy. I don't want to say you become the man. You move more into the masculine energy of, I got to get shit done.
I have to solve problems.
Yes.
If something pops up in my house that would have been a job that I would lean into a masculine energy for, if there's not a masculine energy, I have that falls on me now.
Right. And then you kind of put your feminine to sleep a little bit.
Because to be in that space of vulnerability and receptivity when there's no one there offering to you, I can't lay in receptivity. It's like no one's bringing you anything, honey.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Right. You better get your ass up and
get
do
going.
it.
Yeah. You got to get going.
Yeah.
Interesting thing. So a dear friend, they had a child with I forget what it was called, ambiguous genitalia. So the child was born with both. And the doctor, and this was probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
20
So
years
that
ago.
makes a big difference.
20 years ago. And this was considered trisomy. I don't know what gene it was the problem with, but
Right.
and this was very distressing. This was a birth defect, and that's what they called it. So that's what they called it. That's my point in bringing this story up. And the parents had to choose. Would you like this
that'd be
child
so
to be
hard.
a boy or a girl?
Oh,
Now you wouldn't have to, but 20
Right.
years ago.
And they made the choice, I think, because it would be harder to remove the male genitalia than to kind of sew up the female. They made the choice that this is a boy. And this boy, child, who was probably a present, I think this is part of the evolution, right?
yeah, totally.
And he didn't live long. He only lived about 5 years and had a difficult physical life experience. But instead of, from my lens now, my lens 20 years ago was like, oh my God, this is crazy. This was what? And very tragic. And my lens now would be more curiosity. Like, wow, how does that happen? That both, right? The physical embodiment of both. So I don't know. I think it does speak to what we are transitioning through right now. And I think kids are very confused. When I was 13 or 14, I couldn't even figure out what I was going to wear. I'd be in my closet taking things off and, because I wasn't secure in who I was. And how could I be? I was, and so now I think of these kids that are going through natural confusion about identity. And there's so many things percolating on the horizon.
Oh, we were concerned with short hair, long hair,
Right.
curly, permed hair, straight
Right.
hair, different clothes, and now it's like so much deeper.
Could you even imagine?
Yeah, I don't even think honestly, I have believed this since my son, and that is these kids are just being born smarter. There's so much more. There are so much more intelligence, so much more light, so much more embodied in their soul and their spirit. It's amazing to even watch young toddlers now and how their mind thinks and what they can do compared to what we did as children.
I also think there are those that are clearing greater density.
Yeah.
So I think, there are those that are, their expression is that divine intelligence and that spark of curiosity and that light. Then I see kids going through a lot of dense stuff early on, and I think that's part of the transition.
This whole thing we're
clearing
talking
the density.
about. That's deep stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Totally deep stuff.
Yeah,
To be managing in a mind that really, like, you just got finished playing on a swing set, and now you're thinking about this other heavy stuff. Like, what happened
Right.
to the stuff between?
Right, the play. I don't know why this keeps popping into my brain, but it does. And I just want to speak to it because I think it's important to talk about the part of us or me that feels uncomfortable sometimes. So
In
looking,
what part?
so I go to this one store every week, and I knew this checker. I didn't know him, but he presented as a man, and now he's presenting as a woman. It's an unfortunate wig. I'm just gonna say it. But it's just
He probably just needs some
it's
advice.
just an unfortunate wig, and
She does.
right,
She
and
does,
it's right now. It is. I don't want to call it clumsy, but it's a bit of a unpolished presentation of this feminine essence that she is now wishing to express. And so I want to create room to say, sometimes I don't naturally know how to interface it, because I'm like, okay, it's clear to me that you're going through something. I'm not sure you've totally landed yet. And so I don't want to ignore it, right? And act like it's, you're just the same person you were 2 weeks ago. And I don't notice that you're now wearing a red curly wig. That's crazy. But I'm like, do I say, I really like your wig. Like I don't know how to navigate it a little bit.
I want to say some things. So I think it is totally okay to feel a little bit awkward right now.
Yeah.
It's just there's a little bit of awkwardness because we don't, being at our age, we don't know, because a decade younger, 2 decades younger, they go with the flow.
Right.
They're just going with the flow, and they are more sensitive. Not sensitive in how they respond, but their sensitivity, their sensing of things is just more refined.
Well, and also they've had kids at school.
Right.
You know, I mean,
They've
I
had
know
so much
Joey's
more
had a few kids at school that from freshman year to senior year, these kids totally transitioned.
Right.
And so, you know, they're around it more.
Okay, well,
Totally get it.
what I noticed though, which is really interesting, the person in front of me, it seems like every time the person in front of me is like kind of cool guy. He's like 30, you know, he's got a beard, you know, he's in his flannel and he's a cool guy. That
Are you
dude,
at Whole Foods?
no,
Trader Joe's.
no, just that guy though is most uncomfortable with
Oh,
this.
really?
Oh my! I mean,
Oh,
because
shucks.
they're in their masculine, and they're actually probably a little out of balance. Like, I'm a manly man, and I'm a man. I work out, and we're the manly man. And then they see this other man who's now wearing a red curly wig, and they're just like, "You terrify me!" Like, ah! They don't even talk. I mean, I'm like, they're like on their phone, they're scratching around in their pockets.
Is he a projection of your discomfort?
No, because I'm actually like, what would
More
make
curious.
this guy feel like
Yeah.
I accept you without being like, I love your red wig, because I don't love your red wig. I don't love it, but I want to support you. And I don't want to be in judgment, but I don't even actually know what to say.
Right. So I guess what I want to say is feeling awkward in this time space
Right.
that we're in right now is, I think, perfectly okay.
Yeah.
I think it's okay for us to feel a little awkward. I think it's okay for us to feel like we haven't quite managed this skill of interfacing in this way or with others that are transitioning right in front of us. Like, literally, the butterfly is not in the cocoon.
Right.
It's happening outside of the cocoon.
Right.
The transition is happening. And
And
it's
the
like,
goo is still all over the wings.
But wait,
You're like,
okay.
cool.
But this is what I do, and that is, I always find one thing. Like, it could be earrings, it could be a necklace, and I'm always like, oh my gosh. And there's so many times I'm like, I love your eyelashes, because, you know, eyelashes are a big thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how long are they? Like, I'll just start asking questions about these things that are like very, like, it's something that they took time doing.
Right.
And so I want to know more about it, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's the eyelashes or the lipstick or the earrings, the clothes, like, I'm fascinated, but I'm just fascinated by how people adorn themselves. Like, I'm just fascinated because I'm not like a full adorner of all the time.
Sometimes you are, though.
You are.
Sometimes
You got a
am.
fancy beret
Yeah.
and some sexy shoes.
Oh, and those sparkly shoes.
Yeah, come on. We've
So
seen it.
sometimes I like to adorn, but it really, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But when I see people that do it on a daily basis, I'm in awe.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in awe of the adoration and adornment that people give to themselves. And so I do like to comment. I do like to say
I like that,
things.
and I think that, okay, so we've established it's okay to feel a little awkward.
Right.
And then I think also just checking in with yourself. Like, okay, I want to connect with this person. I don't want to make them feel awkward. And you don't know if they are feeling like every bit of a woman or a man or whatever,
Right.
you know, you don't know, or you don't know if they're feeling like, oh, how do I look? So you don't want to, it is a sticky situation. So I think it's just saying, okay, I want to be love in this little interaction with
Right.
this person. I want to be love.
Right.
And I want to make them feel loved and beautiful and accepted, and however that comes out. If it's saying, wow, I really love your eyelashes. Like, how do you get them to stay on all day?
Right.
You know, whatever.
I do. I want to know those
Oh
things.
my gosh, your nail polish is really pretty. Or oh my gosh, I like, you know, if it's the other way, you know, I like your shirt or whatever, you know.
Well, here's what I've landed on, because it doesn't feel for me, I can't say something I don't believe, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not digging the presentation just yet, but,
Yeah.
but here's what I've landed on. I'm going to treat you the exact way
Yeah.
I treat every other person, which is, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
I always say, how's your day going today?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to be different with you, but I'm very much aware that, like, I feel different. I feel a little different because I'm like, oh, I'm interfacing with someone who to me yet hasn't established fully where they'd like to land, but if I just keep showing up the same way, right, which is offering this expression of courtesy. You're a human.
Mm-hmm.
I see you. Thank you for checking me out. How
Right.
are you doing today? Those are the basic courtesies that I hope to extend to everyone, no matter what their presentation and no matter what they trigger in me. Okay,
Right,
because
yeah.
something's like, oh, this is
Uncomfortable.
different.
But okay, so this is what I'm kind of sensing into right now, and that is, it's always been there. That transition, people moving into a different aspect of themselves, has always been there throughout the ages. Right now, it's loud.
Right,
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
louder.
It's so
But that
loud.
makes me, okay, so me thinking about it right now, it really makes me happy. I'm
Because
happy.
there's more acceptance.
I'm,
They don't have
I'm
to
happy
hide.
that people are getting loud
Yeah.
about things moving.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Things
Or
are
the
moving.
status quo
It's
doesn't
almost
feel right.
it's almost as if
Yeah.
we've got traction. The
Mhm.
wheels are spinning.
Yeah.
That I mean, like, you can imagine, like, the car that's like spinning, getting ready to take off, and the motor is roaring and the wheels are spinning. There's all this noise, there's all this smoke, and we're getting ready to take off into something awesome.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, like, that's where I'm feeling into where our world is right now. Is we've got traction, the motor's running, it's revving, the smoke from the tires hitting the ground, and this is my status in 2023.
I just saw the red wig flying off. The smoke, the red wig goes.
What is 2023 gonna look
Okay,
like?
let's do the numbers. 2, and 3, 4 is a 7.
Yeah.
We did this one year
Yeah.
so the year of the 7 is
Yeah.
about spirituality,
Yeah.
right?
Nice.
So it'll be interesting to see if we
I
embody.
love it. I am, like, so excited right now.
Okay,
And I'm
Jules.
gonna be so delighted to see the loudness. Like, I'm gonna really honor that how loud people are expressing themselves through vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're expressing through vision. They're not expressing through voice and being loud and screaming and yelling. It is a vision. It's literally a vision. I love it.
And okay, I like the idea of I'm not fitting into a societal box. I'm a
Yeah.
unique
Which is
presentation.
broken.
I'm a unique presentation of creativity.
Yes.
I'm going to play
Mhm.
more in my presentation.
Play.
So yeah, and it is that idea that there is more freedom
Mhm.
in how we choose to express whatever, you know.
Okay, this totally goes into my whole idea of the ideal relationship being the Vesica Pisces. So
Freaking love the Vesica Pisces. If we can bring it up at all times, she'll draw you a chart too.
Maybe next time.
Stay
Maybe
tuned.
next time we'll do.
She
a
probably has a
poll.
chart in her car or her back pocket of the Vesica Pisces.
I don't need a chart. I can draw that
It's
in
right
piece of
here.
Yeah,
paper.
just do it in the
She
air.
likes to do it. Go ahead, Jules.
Okay, but it's literally about two sovereign beings. Sovereign.
Right.
So when you're sovereign, you are the ruler.
Right. And you
There
know
is-
who you are.
There is nothing outside of you that is dictating what rules you have for your life.
Right.
You are sovereign. So my ideal relationship is two sovereign beings coming together, right? And creates that Vesica Pisces. Yes. But that's what they're doing. That's what
Yeah.
everyone is doing. Those that are being loud right now in this visual spectrum that we have, they are demanding sovereignty.
Right.
And I like that.
And that helps to be
that
able,
helps us.
it helps me to be able to just step back, get into observer mode, don't judge it, just watch it play out.
But it gives us the freedom too.
That's
to do
the
our
word.
own.
It's
Yeah.
freedom.
It gives us the freedom to be our own self
Of
as well,
course,
to be
of
able
course.
to express our own self. I love it.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Okay.
I love this time that we're in.
Well, I mean, we need to. I mean, there's no point to resisting any of it. It's
But
perfect.
there is so much
Of course.
resistance.
Of course.
So much resistance.
So, because it's change, and
and no, people don't.
one
most people don't
one
change.
dear friend of mine who I was married to said, "Well, you
Dude.
know, the only person that likes change is a baby in a dirty diaper." So it might have been the wisest thing he ever said.
I have never heard that before.
But
No,
it's
me
true.
either. Yeah.
But it's so true. So it's change, and change is hard.
Change is
hard.
Change is hard, especially for people who are caught in this loop
Yeah.
of the same over and over, and who really like hang on to it and just like go around in it. They love it.
I know, because it's safe, right?
It's safe.
And you think of changing a baby's diaper, that is vulnerable. I mean, legs wide open, someone cleaning up that mess, you know?
I don't
It's like,
know any better.
but I mean, the idea of change makes people feel vulnerable,
Yeah.
scared, uncomfortable. You know, it's like, so I mean, well, I don't know.
I mean, this is a really good.
Somehow the animal cards don't feel appropriate anymore.
But this is a really good, honestly, for a bunch of middle-aged women.
Yeah.
From our generation to come together and to really, I mean, because this is stuff you don't know how to talk about, this kind of
No.
stuff.
I know.
And you feel like, am I going to say the wrong thing?
Right.
Yeah.
If I talk about my discomfort and my inability to express like what I'm feeling and be love,
Now
am I
you're
going
the
to be
Scrooge.
judged?
You're either the Scrooge
Yeah.
or what's the other guy? The Grinch.
The Grinch.
In the holidays when you're not accepting.
Or
of
are
what's
you a
happening.
Karen?
Well, what? Or there's something wrong with me just bringing it up. It's like, why are we not allowed to even talk about it?
Right.
I mean, if we're not allowed to talk about it, we can't embrace it or integrate it. It
Right.
needs anything that's
But look
going to
how
be
we-
integrated.
I feel personally that this conversation helped me integrate it even more.
Totally.
Like, now I
You owe me a Coke.
I don't drink Coke.
Well, me either, but you still owe me one.
Okay.
Dr. Pepper.
But now I'm even more delighted because I recognize the freedom that is being offered,
Right.
the liberation that's being offered, the sovereignty that's being offered. And it's not that this younger generation isn't doing it on purpose. It's like, it's natural. Like there's so much discomfort. They're trying to find their comfort. And them trying to find their comfort is causing like discomfort to everybody else.
Yeah.
But then if we can just recognize that, yep, we're all a little bit feeling a little awkward, but can we embrace this transition?
Yeah, with International Red Wig Day. I'd like next week for us to all show up in these curly red-haired wigs.
Oh,
No,
no, said
no.
red wind. How's
No,
that?
red wig, but
Oh.
embracing it. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the idea that we could all back up this, whatever time this is. It is colorful.
Find the joy
It's
and
very
the
colorful.
playfulness and the liberation and the freedom in it. Like literally, like, yeah, I'm really feeling insensing into the freedom.
Like, what if we all did? I mean, I don't know. It'd be a little disorienting for me if every day I was like, how would I like to show up in my physical form today? Like, what's a Moira?
Ours is-
Moira from what was that? Schitt's Creek?
Yes.
Every day she was a different person. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of odd, but also fun.
Fun.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Totally.
Moira was like my favorite character on that show.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
like, that I think is a version of what's playing out. It's kind of like, what am I feeling today?
Yeah.
What how do I want? And if I showed up next week sitting here looking totally different, you guys would be like, what are you doing? But it's kind of fun.
It is.
Yeah, okay, so if there was one thing that you could do that would be playful, that's not super accepted out there, but you could do like wear or do. What would that be? Because I know what mine is.
What's yours?
Yeah.
I would want to wear sparkles.
Oh yeah, I can see
Like totally sparkles, like around my eyes, or like, but more than like just sparkles, but like the crystals and stuff. Like that.
Oh, okay.
Like you would like to bedazzle.
I would like to
yourself.
be bedazzled.
Yeah.
Not like a big bedazzle, just a soft bedazzle, but something that's just like, that's starish and sparkly.
Yeah.
Well, I think mine would be clothes. Like, I have a closet full of clothes that, I mean, seriously, where do I think I'm going? Like,
You should start wearing them.
you guys, I have some spectacular things that are
Yeah.
just, what, it doesn't, another human in my life did these estate sales. And so I would go to these estate sales.
Yeah.
There would just be these coats with like rhinestones and all this stuff, but there's no, but I would love that. I would love to just put on just things that are sort of beautifully ridiculous, but there's nowhere to go in them.
I went to the Renaissance Fair on Sunday.
Oh.
You did?
It was so fun.
What did you wear?
I didn't because I didn't have time to get anything together. I'm so
Yeah.
busy right now. So I was like, but we got invited. I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. Well, Russ's sister showed up. She was a woodland fairy. She has bright red hair, and she had the wings, and she had done a crown of flowers with the antlers, and
yeah.
she had, I mean, all the way down to her shoes. She put feathers on her shoes. It was so freaking adorable, and I was like, I want to do. And so next year I'm doing it.
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
wait,
go all out.
what would you do though?
Well, I loved the gypsy stuff, like
Okay.
anything gypsy, or kind of like I want to carry
The
a.
sound
Yes.
of gypsy, like
Yeah, and they all the
oh,
chains.
Oh, that'd
yeah.
be fun.
Oh my gosh!
Wouldn't
and
you
you
wanna
could
wear
carry
one of
a
those belts
crystal
with the,
ball.
like-
Yeah, they have them. They had shops full of those kind of clothes. It was amazing. Yeah. Apparently, the biggest one, I talked to this girl there, the biggest one is in Chicago, and it's on 100 acres. And she said it's the most amazing experience. You feel like you're transported into another realm.
Okay, I know what I want to
So
wear.
fun.
Because
What?
when I was in New Zealand, I wanted to buy one of these so badly, but they were expensive, and I was like, what are you doing with this? The whole cape was made of feathers.
Oh.
Feathers. It was like
Okay.
from the Maori
Can you wear that
tribes.
next week?
I didn't buy it.
Oh, shoot.
It didn't make any sense. But
They
I
had a lot of capes. I would wear a cape.
This
for
was
sure.
like, oh my god, it was, but
Yes.
it was a tie around. It was all down the back of feathers, like all the way down to the
Beautiful.
ground.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But I didn't think I could travel well on the flight home.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right,
I
I'll wear
want
my
you to
coat.
Yeah, wear your
Next
coat.
week we should. Can you bedazzle your face next
Oh
week?
Lord, have mercy.
I'll wear my
Can we
coat.
Can we do it in December?
Why? What's wrong with
Because
this
I
week?
don't have time to get anything together.
Aw, well.
Maybe I'll go buy a
How
wig.
about for New Year's? How about we'll do that for
We'll do a special.
a special for 2023.
Oh yeah, and let's do cards for that one.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
wear our special whatevs,
Okay.
and then do a 12-month
I'll get my
card pull
gypsy costume
for the
together.
collective.
Yeah.
That'll be so fun.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay,
I
stay
love it.
tuned for that. Please like, subscribe, and share. Oh, and comment too.
Please.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, and when we get our act together, we're gonna have a little intro and a closing, but we're a little busy. I mean, some of us are.
We're all busy.
I guess we are.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Ciao, ciao.